Well, I'll take it all the way back, if I may.
Okay.
So my father, Irv North, was profiled on 60 Minutes,
Mm.
not once, but twice. 1976 and in 1986, they did a follow-up. Not for anything great. My dad was a degenerate, compulsive gambler, Brooklyn mob guy, and that's just the life that he grew up in.
Wow.
And somehow 60 Minutes found him. They do this story on my dad about the gambling, and it took up the whole. He was a colorful character, and so he robbed banks in order to get money solely to gamble with, which he gambled every penny of it. And they do the segment. At the very end, Dan Rather says, Irv, look at your life. You're outside this VA hospital that treats gamblers. You've been in prison. What are the odds on you quitting gambling? And my dad looks at him and looks at the camera, says, well, the one thing I don't want to do is ever end up back in prison. That's how he talked. He had a big, thick New York accent. And but it's a long shot. They do a follow-up 10 years later. They said Harry Reasoner did the story. Said, we did a story on a guy named Irv North. We decided to look him up, see how he was getting along.
Wow.
We found him. My dad spent 7 of those 10 years in prison because at that hospital that they were at the VA hospital in Brecksville, Ohio, to treat gamblers, my dad taught every guy in there how to swindle banks. They'd go swindling banks, and then they'd leave the campus at night to go gambling. So he ends up back in prison. Well, for my mother and I, it got to the point where it was chaos. It was living in chaos, and we couldn't do it anymore. And my mom knew it was a breaking point. I knew at age 16 it was a breaking point that we had to get away. If we didn't, something bad was going to happen to the good people in my family. So in the middle of the night, while he was at a halfway house program, we packed up our car, an old Chevrolet with roll-up windows, and we were in New York. Believe it or not, we went all the way to Las Vegas because my dad was banned from Las Vegas at that time. And so we thought we'd feel safe. So we get to Vegas, and we spent maybe one night there, and my mom wakes up in a cold sweat, says, pack up the boys. We've got to get out of here. I go, Mom, we just drove across the country to get here. She goes, I'm not going to raise my children in their father's temple. That's exactly what she says. Where are we going to go?
Wow.
She goes, we're going to go to Houston. Mom, we're from New York. We don't know anyone in Houston. She goes, that's right. We're going to start over, fresh, new family. We're just going to start where nobody knows us. So we literally driving back from say hello to the Grand Canyon a second time because we're driving back. Our car breaks down in Richardson, Texas. Breaks down in Richardson. And there's a lot of stories that came out of that, but the long story is we never left. And we stayed here. And we were literally running out of paper money. And my mom wasn't too proud to get help. She went to Salvation Army, First People's Baptist Church, and the Jewish Community Center. And long story short, we got on our feet, and we never left. And how I ended up in the gym business is I if I'm not the first personal trainer in Dallas, Texas, I'm in the conversation. And who else is in that conversation, I'm not sure, but I was. And I had a knack, Carlos, for just being able to be likable, promote myself. So my first business was a PR company. And I only represented one person, me. And I started calling up every news station, every radio station, every newspaper and magazine saying, hey, there's this guy, Larry North. He's a personal trainer. My name's Bob Jones. You gotta interview this guy. He's amazing. Well, next thing I know, I'm getting calls from news stations wanting to interview Larry North, my only client.
Hold on. You said your name was Bob Jones.
Yes.
To the guys talking about you.
Yeah. I said,
Wow.
I
You gave me some good advice here.
I was promoting myself. And the next thing I know, I'm on the news, but it's like anything in life. You get the opportunity, but you got to step up. So I just had a knack. I found that my favorite drug of choice was a microphone. My second favorite drug of choice was a camera. And give me an audience, and I'm really going to get high.
Wow.
So I started doing this, and I'm training people. I was giving advice that now is mainstream advice, but back then it wasn't considered mainstream. Eat instead of diet. eat to feed the metabolism, walk instead of run, things that we do now that we know is part of fitness. But here's what happened. May I share a story on how I really got into fitness?
Please do. I'm here like I'm watching a movie right now.
So my mom ends up with cancer, and she has to have breast surgery. She wants to recover with her sister, and so she goes to California. I have twin brothers. My one twin wanted to finish high school, so I said, come live with me. And we didn't live in a great apartment. It wasn't the best apartment. In fact, he likes to joke. He says, you know, you don't live in a good apartment when they don't want to deliver pizza to it.
Mm.
So we're on the third floor. We've got a mattress in one room, another mattress in the other room, a big TV, and a beanbag chair. That's our whole furniture. So one day, I come running up the steps. I've got a piece of paper in my hand. I said, Adam, wake up. Wake up, Adam. Wake up. I just signed a lease to do the gym I've always talked about, my dream gym in the Highland Park Village in Dallas, Texas. I'm in my 20s. I'm in my late 20s. My brother's sort of sleepy. He's like, big brother. He goes, you don't have any money. Like, what are you talking about? I said, don't worry about that. Help me right now. Come downstairs. I've got a new piece of furniture for the apartment. I need you to help me bring it up. It's a treadmill. We bring the treadmill up 3 flights of steps. I go, Adam, I got to go do things. I got to go to the bank. I got to figure this out. I'll be back in a couple hours. We're going to talk about it because you're going to be my first employee. So I come back in a couple hours. My brother, Adam, he puts the treadmill where he could see himself in his bathroom mirror. And he's jogging on it with nothing but his underpants and his sneakers. He's jogging. I go, what are you doing, Adam? He goes, big brother, if you're going to open up a gym and I'm going to be your first employee, I got to get in shape. So Carlos, I shut the treadmill off. I said, come sit down. I said, Adam, this has been my dream. My dream so much. I've told everybody when I'm bouncing in bars, people walk away from me because they're tired of hearing me talk about the gym that I'm going to do someday. I said, this is going to happen. And this is my dream. But now sit down with me because you are going to be my first employee. But this isn't your dream, Adam. This is my dream. But I'm going to need your help to help me live my dream initially. But if you help me, Adam, I promise you, I will do everything to help you live your dreams. I said, well, what are your dreams, Adam? He goes, big brother, I want to travel the world. I want to retire when I'm 35 and I want to live the good life. Now, what would most people say? Oh, come on, Adam, you got to have a plan. No, I didn't do that. I said, tell me that one more time, just one more time. He repeats himself. I said, Adam, if that's what you want, I'm going to help you live that dream, but we got a lot of work to do. Mm. I said, but he goes, but how are you going to do this without any money? I said, Adam, I'm going to tell you this. If we allow lack of money, lack of a college degree, lack of people believing in us, lack of a business plan, lack of anything, Adam, we're going to live in this dump shit apartment our entire lives. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to allow that. Don't worry about it. I will figure it out because money is the last thing I'm worried about. Mm. Long story short, I opened that Highland Park gym in the most prestigious shopping center, maybe in the history of the United States outside of Rodeo Drive. And so many incredible things happened. But here's one incredible thing. My brother Adam did not retire at 35. He was 36.